Halo Explorian. In the annals of history, only a few figures have echoed through the centuries with unmatched admiration. Alexander the Great is one of them, a visionary, resilient, and legendary individual. Now, we will discuss the inspiring and awe-inspiring life story of Alexander the Great. So, watch this video until the end. Alexander III of Macedon, better known as Alexander the Great, was born on July 20, 356 BC, in Pella, the capital of the Kingdom of Macedonia. His father was King Philip II, and his mother was Queen Olympias. Since infancy, there was something that set him apart from other children. His eyes gleamed with an unquenchable fire, radiating intelligence and bravery. Like most noble children of that time, Alexander was educated from a young age. He learned mathematics, reading, writing, and how to play the lyre. He was also taught how to fight, ride horses, and hunt. At the age of 12, Alexander displayed extraordinary bravery by taming a wild horse named Bucephalus, known for being a large and fierce stallion, which would later become his loyal companion throughout Alexander's life. When Alexander turned 13, his father Philip II called upon the best teacher of that time, Aristotle. He was requested by the king to become a private tutor for his son. Aristotle instilled wisdom in Alexander, teaching him literature, science, medicine, and philosophy. As a reward, the people of Aristotle's hometown in Stagira were exempted from slavery. At the age of 16, Alexander had already proven his military genius. He led a cavalry unit and successfully defeated the Sacred Band of Thebes, an undefeated army at that time. Alexander became king at the age of 20, when his father was assassinated in 336 BC. He then claimed the throne of Macedonia, and that's when his name started to become known. He successfully conquered rebellions in northern Greece and unified Greece under his rule. Alexander then embarked on a grand campaign planned by his father, which was the conquest of the mighty Persian Empire. With a Macedonian army consisting of 32,000 infantry and 5,100 cavalry, Alexander crossed into Asia Minor in 334 BC to begin his conquest of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. He defeated Persian forces led by satraps in the Battle of Granicus, liberating the cities of Sardis and Ephesus from Persian rule. Continuing in 333 BC, at the Battle of Issus, Alexander and his troops faced a significantly larger army led by Darius III. However, with his brilliant tactics, the Persian forces were eventually scattered, and King Darius III was forced to flee the battlefield. Darius then sent a request for surrender to Alexander, but it was rejected. After his victory at the Battle of Issus, Alexander remained determined to conquer the ancient city of Tyre. He built a land bridge from the mainland to the island where the city was located to deploy his siege engines. Despite deploying siege engines, the resistance from the city of Tyre was fierce. As a result, the inhabitants of the city were ultimately massacred, and the survivors were sold into slavery. Moving on to Egypt. After rejecting the plea for surrender, Alexander and his troops set out to conquer Egypt. However, they faced a blockade in Gaza and were forced to endure a lengthy siege. After several weeks, Alexander successfully captured the city and entered Egypt, where he founded the city of Alexandria. It is known that Alexander later journeyed to the desert to meet the god Ammon, and his visit sparked speculation that Alexander was a deity. After his conquest of Egypt, Alexander once again faced Darius III and his massive army at Gaugamela in 331 BC. The battle was fiercely fought, but as history tells us, Alexander emerged victorious once again. Darius III fled once more but was ultimately killed by his own general and cousin, Bessus. Alexander was known to show great respect for the body of Darius III, and he also treated the surviving members of Darius' family with great honor. Alexander then proclaimed himself as the king of Persia. However, another Persian leader, Bessus, also claimed the Persian throne. This greatly disturbed Alexander, and he continued his pursuit of Bessus. Eventually, Bessus was captured and handed over to Ptolemy, a close friend of Alexander. There, Bessus was mutilated and executed. With the removal of Bessus, Alexander gained full control over Persia. To gain the trust and recognition of the Persian people, Alexander adopted many Persian customs. He began dressing like a Persian and adopted the practice of proskynesis, which involved bowing the body and kissing the hands of others, as was the custom in the Persian court. However, these changes caused a decrease in enthusiasm among the Macedonian people. Some of them refused to perform proskynesis, and a few even plotted to assassinate Alexander. One of his highly respected generals, Parmenio, was killed because his son, Philotas, was found guilty of plotting against Alexander's life. In 327 BC, with the Persian Empire firmly under his control, Alexander turned his attention towards India. Upon hearing about the expansion of the Macedonian general's power, King Omphis of Taxila in India decided to submit to his authority without resistance. However, the tribes of Aspagioi and Assakenoi fiercely opposed Alexander's advance. Alexander made the decision to conquer these tribes. Eventually, Alexander encountered King Porus of Parava at the Battle of the Hydaspes River in 326 BC. Porus and his army attacked Alexander's forces with elephants and fought valiantly. However, Alexander once again emerged victorious in the battle. Sadly, his beloved horse, Bucephalus, died during the battle. It is unclear whether the horse died from battle wounds or due to old age. Alexander, who desired to continue advancing and conquer all of India, faced opposition from his weary and war-fatigued troops who refused to proceed further. His officers also convinced him to return to Persia. Eventually, Alexander divided his army into two parts. Half of the army was sent back to Persia, while the other half headed to Gedrosia. Moving forward to around 324 BC, Alexander's lifelong friend, possibly his lover, and his deputy, Hephaestion, died from illness. Claims about Alexander's homosexuality or bisexuality are supported by biographies written after his death, and Hephaestion is consistently mentioned as both his lover and friend. Following this event, Alexander then massacred the Cassians tribe, and it is known that he executed Hephaestion's doctor for failing to cure him. In a state of sadness, Alexander then returned to Babylon in 323 BC with plans to further expand his empire. However, that dream could not be realized. He met his end in Babylon at the age of 32 around 323 BC after suffering from a high fever for 10 days. And that is the story of a truly legendary historical figure, Alexander the Great. His countless achievements and enduring legacy in world history should help us understand and become inspired by the ideas and courage he possessed. Thank you for watching. Also, stay tuned for other thrilling historical adventures. See you in the next episode.